welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to explain sexual reproduction in plants. First of all, we should know what sexual reproduction is. Sexual reproduction is a process in which two partners are involved for the process of reproduction, to carry out the process of reproduction. And as you people know, reproduction is a process in which an organism continues its race, produces its offspring. So we will talk about how sexual reproduction in plants takes place. Flower is the reproductive unit in a plant. It's the reproductive structure. Flower is the reproductive structure in the plant. So we will talk about the structure of flower, basically, first of all. Flower has basically four different parts. Mainly, there are four main parts of a flower, which I am going to discuss, and you can call them also whorls. हम उन्हें whorls भी कह सकते हैं, parts of a flower को whorls. So the first part of the flower is sepals. And sepals are also known as calyx. They are also known as calyx, we call them. You can say calyx, it is the unit. They are the units collectively. They are known as like that. And then we have petals. And in the same way, there is an alternate term for this, which is known as the corolla. And then we have androecium. Androecium is the male reproductive part of a flower. Male reproductive part. और इसी तरह से चौथा वाला आता है gynoecium, which is the female reproductive part of a flower. So female reproductive part of a flower is known as the gynoecium. So today we are going to discuss about these four structures, and one by one we will discuss about it. What is the role of sepals, what is the role of petals, what is androecium, what is gynoecium, everything like that. So first of all, talking about sepals or calyx. They are basically the green leaves at the base of a flower, you can say. They are the green leaves which are basically present at the base. They are known as the sepals. इनको sepals कहा जाता है. They are present at the base. And their main role is, the role of sepals is that they are protective in nature. They protect the bud, which will blossom into a flower. They are protective in function, and as they are green in color, they also perform the process of photosynthesis. So they are present at the base. Then we have next, which is the petals, and petals are brightly colored part of a flower, and they are mostly they attract insects like bees for pollination, to perform the process of pollination. तो जो petals होते हैं वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा attractive होते हैं, जो insects को अपनी तरफ attract करेंगे और फिर pollination process carry out करते हैं. That is the second part. And then we have, they are also known as corolla, as I have told you. Petals is also known as corolla. And then these two parts, sepals and petals, they are not that important part of a flower. The important parts are androecium and gynoecium, because they are involved in reproduction process. These are also the main parts, but not that main part of the flower. Their function is just as I told you. Now we will move on to the androecium part, the male reproductive part of a flower. So androecium. Androecium is also known as stamen. And this androecium is made up of, or you can call stamen is made up of two parts, as I will draw here. So this is the anther and this is the filament, or we can call it stalk. You can call it stalk also. So anther and filament, this part. And you can see in the season of flowers, practically also you can take out these parts and study as well. So anther, as I have shown here, this is bilobed. Anther lobes. These are anther lobes, and they're also known as microsporangium. The term which is used for this is anther lobes are also known as microsporangium. And you can see there are two in numbers. We call it bilobed, or you can use the term bithecus. Okay, so you can use they are bilobed, or you can call it bithecus because there are two. और अगर हम देखें क्या रोल है एंथर लोब्स का, बेसिकली माइक्रोस्पोरेंजियम से क्यों कहा जाता है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे पोलन ग्रेन्स बनते हैं. पोलन ग्रेन्स आर फॉर्म्ड हियर, एंड pollen grains, you know, they are the male gametes. They are also known as microspores. So pollen grain formation takes place here. Pollen grains are formed here. Pollen grains. So these are basically pollen sacs भी इनको कहा जाता है. So antherlobes, the function of antherlobe is that pollen grain formation takes place here, also known as microsporangium. Fine. I hope this much is clear. And next we will move on to this is like androecium, and next we will explain gynoecium. So this was about the male part. It's quite simple. Then we will explain now the female part, which is gynoecium. Discuss about gynoecium. As we discussed the last three parts of the flower, like sepals, petals, and androecium, now we will discuss about gynoecium. You can see I have drawn diagram here of the gynoecium. But first of all, gynoecium, as you know, it's known as the female reproductive part of a flower. Apart from that, it's also known as carpel. It's also known as carpel. Okay, also known as carpel. So it's like gynoecium. It's like divided into three parts. You can see the first part is the stigma. This is the first part. Second part is style, and third part is the ovary, which is a round swollen base at the bottom. That is known as the ovary. Stigma is basically the receptive part for receiving pollen grain. As discussed earlier, I told you, मैं आपको बता चुकी हूँ कि pollen grain जो है ये male gamete है. Okay, तो stigma जो है, this is the receptive part. ये receptive part है जहाँ पे pollen grain आके land करता है. Okay, and then pollen grain here absorbs water. It swells up and then it enters through the style. यहाँ पे ये pollen dew formation करेगा और ये enter करेगा through style. So style, it is an elongated part. It's a pathway usually for the pollen grain to enter. And the last part is ovary. To enter into the ovary. In ovary we have ovules and we have the egg cell is present there. There's one egg cell present there. And then we are going to discuss about the process of fertilization, how fertilization takes place in a flower. So this was all about the gynoecium, the female part. Now we will discuss about the process of fertilization, like fertilization in plants in next video. Okay.